Hey, Eric here, how's it going? Today I'm talking about how to replace a steam wand on this ECP3630 or any of the ECP3 series machines. Now, it's a bit of an undertaking. You're gonna need somewhere between 1 and 2 hours to do this, so make sure you watch this whole video, see what it will really entail if you're gonna do that, and make sure you have not only all the things that you're gonna need to do the job, but also the time to take it apart and put it back together, you know, budget for some error. But overall, it is a fun little project. Whether it's worth it is really up to you. You would definitely void the warranty if you do this. You will definitely take some risk of breaking your machine. Does it steam so much better with the new steam wand on there than it did with the original, with the Panarello steam wand mod? Yeah, it does steam better. I don't know if it's worth voiding the warranty over. Now, you can see how it steams in this video right here. I made a video all about this machine and about how you can easily just modify the existing steam wand to steam better than how it is stock. So please check that out. If not, if you do choose to undertake this, please know that you're taking on all this risk yourself, and that if you are the kind of person who just wants a fun project and wants to try something out, maybe it's a thing to do for you. For this job, these are the tools that I prepared. I have some needle nose pliers. I have a flathead screwdriver. I have a Phillips head screwdriver, and I have a hair dryer. So as long as you have these things, you should be able to do this modification. I also have seen that some people have used a little bit of vegetable oil to help lubricate some parts. I personally didn't use that, but that is something that you might want to have on hand in case. Another thing that I would recommend, if you have it, if you can get a magnetic screwdriver so that you don't lose any of the screws, and a screwdriver that has a rubber base that will help you push out some parts, that would be really handy. Beyond that, I just used my hands. You will also need a hose clamp of some kind. For this particular model, the ECP3630, the hose clamp that is on there cannot be replaced. You have to have a spare. Have 2 of these on hand before you start this. So let's get started on this thing. First things first, make sure you unplug it. Make sure you didn't use it for a while. I'd say have it sit overnight to make sure it's cooled down and all that. And then remove the water tank that just pops out. If you own this, you know that already. It just pops out to refill, very convenient feature. And then we've got to take off this front plate here. So first thing you need to do is this guy should pop off with a little bit of effort. Just take off the steam wand holder. If you are smart, you'll have a little container to keep all your parts. Let's just say I'm not smart. And you can take off the knob on the front here. Now the knob, you could put something underneath here to pry it. You might mar up the finish if that's important to you. You don't have to really put anything under there to pry it. You can just work it off like that. And that is the first 2 things you have to do, is take off those little knobs so that they don't prevent you from taking off the face. Next, we're going to, and maybe we'll just take off the drip tray as well. And then just to get that out of the way, those just pop off. You'll see there's 2 little screws here. Hard to see, maybe. 2 little screws. And those are just going to come off with a screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver. And there's not a lot of screwing that you need to do. You don't need to use a drill or anything like that. Just a regular screwdriver will do. Excuse me. So remove these 2 screws and keep those aside. Once you remove those 2 screws, there's really nothing keeping this plate on anymore, except for that it has a couple clips that are under here. You're going to have to pry those clips off. So be careful when you do this. You don't want to snap any of the plastic parts. So you're just going to take a flathead screwdriver and carefully, hopefully not marring up the plastic part on the top here too much, you're going to be able to, I should angle this so you can see, you're going to be able to just work it out just by twisting gently. I'm really not prying, I'm just putting the screwdriver under here and wiggling gently until I hear it release. So be careful when you do that, you don't want to break anything. And now that you've removed the 2 screws, the front piece, and the side little doodad here, there's really nothing to stop you from taking it off. Fortunately, we didn't break anything yet, fingers crossed. So I'm gonna put this to the side just to keep it organized. I'm going to put my screws that go in it with it, and then that way it won't be in the way anymore. So here's what we're looking at. We've got the insides visible, and we are able to rock and roll now. So now we're gonna remove this whole top plastic part here, just so we have more room to work. How we're gonna do that is we're going to remove 2 screws here, 2 Phillips screws here, and then unclip 2 little clippies on the back here. All right, so that should be easy to do. Just take a Phillips screwdriver and work your way off. Cool, that's one. They're a little bit longer. They're a little bit longer than the ones that go in the front, so try not to mix them up too much. Have a safe spot for your screws. Perhaps store them inside of a portafilter. Bonk. Okay, that's number 2 now. And then using in the back here, using a flathead screwdriver, let's just gently pop out the clip. So the key to getting these back clips out is you're going to go under the clip, and then you're just going to push it up, okay? Be gentle as possible, but after you do that, it should just release, and you should be able to remove the top here for working more easily on the machine. Now, this is something that's up to you. If you want a little bit more space to work, you could now take a photograph of how all these little wires are connected and then reconnect them later. They just pop off. Or if you forgot to take your photograph, you could look at it here now. So what we have is, on the top, we have the red/black. Then on the bottom, in the front is the blue, behind is the brown. On this side, the top is the gray wire, and below it is a black. And then you have these 2 little guys here for the lights. The white light goes on top, the red light goes on the bottom. And so you can just pop these off. A little wiggle will do it. Now, you don't have to take this part off, but it will give you more room to work with. So using the back of my rubber screwdriver, if you have anything else rubber, you might want to use that. I just push the lights out like that. That way, I'm not breaking anything. Just remember, when you're using plastic parts, plastic clips, plastic electrical connectors, take your time, be gentle, wiggle more than push. You don't want to break anything. All right, so now we've got all that stuff off. We've got a clear view of the inside here. Okay, so next, unfortunately, we're going to have to remove some screws here to kind of remove the group head or make it at least looser so that we can access the steam wand a little bit more easily. Now, just because some of the important parts here are kind of trapped in between this little plastic guard. So you've got a number of screws holding in the group head here, and we're just going to take a Phillips head or a screw gun if you have one, though there's not a lot of screwing to be done here, so you don't really need a screw gun. And we're just going to remove them and be careful not to lose them. And I have so many extra pressurized baskets that came with this machine that I have the ability to store my screws for each part in a different basket. So the first screw, the second screw. When you get towards the end of pulling out a screw, feel free to turn it with your fingers. Okay, so the first screw that came out at the top corner is a little bit longer than the second screw that came out, which is a little bit shorter. So try to keep track of it. I'm taking notes right now out loud. Longer screw, shorter screw. Then another short screw in the front. We've got 2 more screws, one that's kind of behind some tubing. Another longer screw in that back corner, and then finally there's 1 screw here by the steam wand. That one comes out quite easily, and that one is another long screw. So there are 3 long screws that are all in the back corners, and the 2 short screws are in the front. So these 2 are short screws, these ones 1, 2, 3 are long screws. Now that we've done that, we should be able to wiggle this guy out. You're gonna have to move this over right here, the actual plastic body. You're gonna have to move it over a little bit if you want to be able to raise up the group head. And just do that gently because it is plastic, though it has a stainless steel coating on the inside. And then you should be able to just kind of move this over ever so slightly so that it's not in your way as much. Be careful, be gentle, because this is a braided hose here. This part here is metal. You don't want to break anything. And now we've got a little bit more play, a little bit more room to work. Is to remove the steam wand, we're going to have to unclip this little spring clip here. Depending on the model you have, there is going to be a little bit of difference. So this one is the ECP 3630. It has a braided covering over the hose. Now, I don't know if all of the newer models have this braided covering here, but it's just an insulation covering, and they've used a different kind of hose clamp here. A kind of hose clamp that is harder to remove and is not so easily you can't really remove this well without breaking it. Now, at any hardware store, you can buy a hose clamp. Honestly, they should be like 50 cents. Some places charge more, like $2 or $3. But all it is a little metal clamp that has a screw on here, and you can use it to tighten down on any hose. They're inexpensive. Have 2 of these on hand before you start this. I will put that at the top of the video as well, but just in case you can't remove these hose clips without destroying them, have these on hand to replace them. A very small one that is about the size of your pinky diameter will be great. Now, some of the other models, the other ECP3 models, have a much easier to remove hose clamp that you just need to pinch and it will release itself. I'm just going to take my needle nose pliers and I'm just going to gently release the part that clips it on. So you can see there's a little clip here. That's what basically holds it on. There's not a great way to release that, and so I will just kind of pry that off gently. I'm going to have to use 2 hands to do that, and then I will later replace that with a hose clip. I think the big thing to look out for is to not rip the actual hose. I'm going to pry the edge out a little bit with my screwdriver so I have something to grab onto. Little by little, I've worked it off carefully and gently. That's that. That's off. Now, underneath that, so that just pops off the hose after I get that pet off. And now we have to get the steam wand. So what we have here is it's called an E-clip. this part right here. Be careful not to lose that, and that will just pop right off with a little twist of your screwdriver. I have a magnetic screwdriver, so it's stuck on there pretty well. Don't lose that. Put that with all your parts. And then once you have that off, you have these two little plastic nuts, or these little plastic pieces here. That is secured on, that will secure, this part here goes where the screw was that was basically holding the steam wand in place. And then this guy just slides out. Now, I've seen other models are slightly different. Some of them give you a little bit more of a hard time. The ECP 3630, relatively easy, just popped right out. Now, we have to get the new steam wand on. Okay, so now we've got it all taken apart. We've been careful not to lose any parts. The one part we had to damage was this little hose clamp. That's the part you have to be careful of. And we have our replacement wand here, the Rancilio Steam wand. So the first thing we have to do to get this steam wand ready is we have to remove the parts that are on it so that we can slide on the new parts. So first off, take off your tip, slide off your rubber. And you just, when it comes to getting things around this bend here, it's all about twisting. I will link this particular steam wand in the description in case you're interested in getting one of these for yourself. Just try not to bend the steam wand. It's going to take a little bit of muscle, but not too bad. And then this nut will just come right off. No problem here. Now, what we have to do is pop this little part onto the new steam wand. Now, this is a little tight around the bend here. So what you're going to do is you're just going to work it slowly, twist it. You don't want to break this because this would be a part that you can't replace. One thing you could do, if it's giving you too hard of a time, is you could warm it up with a hair dryer a little bit, just to try to make it a little bit more flexible. That did make it quite a bit easier to get it around that bend. And don't overdo it. Don't do it for don't melt things, just, a minute. So there we go, we have it on there. Great. So once you have that nut on there and it's nice and snug, you can slip the rubber burn protector back on, same way, just twisting and pushing. Okay, and then we're going to reattach the tip. So far so good. And then put it back in the top. And now we are going to reattach this hose to the steam wand. Okay, so the order here is pretty important. You want to put your steam wand in there, of course, first with that new ball. After you got that on there, you're going to want to take your little plastic hoop with the screw axis here. Now this holds the steam wand in place, basically keeps it from wiggling too much, and that'll go back on here. You're going to want to put this part on first, and then after you get that on, you're going to want to put on your hose clamp as close to tight as you can, but still have a little bit of wiggle room. Then you're going to slide the hose through the metal part here. Then you're going to attach the hose to the Rancilio Steam wand. Don't worry about that. As best you can. Get it down as low as you can. Then I'm going to seat the head back on. Pop this little guy back on there. Okay, pop everything back on. Make sure it's lined up. Make sure it's all where it should be, which I think it is. Get the hose clamp down there as best you can. Tighten it down. a bit more. And you really want to try to make sure that you're grabbing on to something here with the steam wand. Make sure the tube is covering the base of the steam wand well. Make sure that as you tighten the hose clamp that it is really biting onto something. I promise that if I ever make money on YouTube videos, I will get better cameras and better rigging, but right now this is just a nice little hobby. Well, rock and roll, there we go. Okay, it seems to be in there pretty good. Finally. We're good, we're tight, we're on. Okay, phew. Now, it's on there. It is installed pretty well. And it will give you a better steaming experience, we hope. That's the idea, right? And now we're going to just reattach, reinstall all the screws, make sure everything sits well, and then we're going to see how it steams, how it goes. Cool. All right, let's start putting the screws. All right, it was the short screws in the front. Short screws in the front. Then the long screws in the back. Long ones in the back. It's not exactly a hard installation, but there are little snags you're bound to run into, little things that will be harder to put on than you think, and a part that you might need that you don't have, screws that will get dropped. So give yourself a good 2 hours uninterrupted to do this. All right, so we've got all the screws in here now. Now we will reconnect the wires. Like I said, this is an optional part, taking off the wires, but it does give you a lot more room to work. So on the top here, you have your red and black. Then behind, on the below that, you have your blue. Behind your blue, you have your brown. And then on the other side, on the top, you have your gray. And underneath that, you have your black. And then for the top light is white, bottom light is red. All right. I'm just going to see if it leaks. It is on green. It is heated up. Nothing visibly leaking yet. Well, it's steaming, that's for sure. Okay, so let's put it back together. First, I'm going to unplug it again. First thing to know, probably want to take this tank out again. All right, so putting it back together is just basically getting it lined up the way it was before. Now you've got to line up the pegs for the screws, but you also have to make sure you pop it back in the back. So that'll just kind of snap together as you gently push it down. Then you take your two screws and they should go right into the top here of these posts. And we're hoping that I didn't ruin this machine and that we didn't that we're not going to create an electrical failure or something like that. So remember that this machine is plastic for the most part on the inside, so when you're putting the screws back in, don't over tighten them down. Tighten them down till you get a little bit of resistance, and then after you get that resistance, just stop turning them. Going to pop this back on, we hope. There's these two little clips that should clip onto the top. Basically just position it where it should be. Try to get it into the right spot. Those will pop down. Front should pop in too-ish. Yep. Just kind of gently, not going to force anything, but just try to make sure everything is where it should be. And then once you have that clipped on, you can insert these two screws here. Keep in mind that the group head is going to be hot, or the group is going to be hot. Now comes the moment of truth, right? Was this worth it? The risk of voiding the warranty, the risk of breaking something that's already okay, that's already pretty good. Was it worth it? And we'll find out. As they say, the proof is in the pudding. All right, that is fully back together. Now we just have to set it up again and see if it can steam milk, which we'll do out of the garage and into the kitchen. Oh, bizarre. Tell right now it's a little foamy, but all right. That's what we got. I will also tell you that my steaming experience with this new steam wand isn't leaps and bounds better than my steaming experience was with the modified Panarello steam wand. So in another video where I talk all about this machine that you can see right here, I talk about how you can just take off the sheathing on the Panarello steam wand and add a zip tie, and then you can steam decent microfoam milk, which is a great way to learn how to steam milk. And a big part of this machine, a big thing that makes it appealing, is that this is a very inexpensive machine that you can really learn the basics of being a barista on. And I might recommend, instead of modifying this machine, use this machine, use it into the ground, buy the accessories that you need to make good espresso, buy a good grinder that you can use on your next espresso machine with the money you saved on this, and then eventually invest in the espresso machine of your dreams, save up for it for a few years, and then go for that. But this is a great machine to learn the basics on, a great machine to go through your barista boot camp, and really fun to work with. That being said, replacing the steam wand was a really fun experience for me. It's super neat to take things apart and see what they look like on the inside. It's not a very hard job. It is, and it does give you a slightly more professional experience, though you do lose mobility on the steam wand. You are going to be stuck with a stationary steam wand now instead of one that can rotate in a number of directions. So if you are interested in anything that I talked about in this video, be it the steam wand, be it the portafilter handle, be it the actual machine, be it the tamper, I have left some links in the video there. Check them out. They are affiliate links. I do make a little bit of money if you go through those at no cost to you. So that's how you replace the steam wand on this. Pretty fun experience. Just know that once you take it apart, it's good to have enough time to finish the job, so make sure you set yourself up with a couple hours of time to take it apart and put it back together. Make sure you have everything you need to do the full job, and I hope that helped. If you got some value out of this video, please give me a like, please give me a comment. If you could subscribe, that'd be so cool. I'm trying to get this channel going, and I've got a lot of fun ideas to help beginners in coffee out and do some deep dives into coffee nerd stuff as well. Yeah, I hope that helped, and yeah, thank you very much. Cool.